Hi, Susan here. Okay, today we're going to take the torso sloper and we're going to make a knit block design on the dress form, and that's what's next. Okay guys, you're in for a treat today because I'm going to be showing you some tips and tricks on how to do this method, and it's not really out there. So I have a special method that I use. It looks a little sloppy, but it actually works. Before I get started, I want to reiterate that we have the 5-piece sloper set, right? And that is what we draped in French draping, which is the back basic bodice, front basic bodice, front and back skirt, and basic sleeve. Then we converted that into a torso sloper for woven goods, non-stretch. Okay, I'm gonna now take this basic torso sloper and I'm going to convert it to a block design that's for knitwear tops or knitwear dresses. But before I do that, I want to reiterate that if you do not have this sloper set, please invest in it. It is very important. It is not an option in your design room. You need both a sloper and a dress form in order to function properly as a designer, whether you're manufacturing or for yourself. And I have it at a very, very low price now on my website. I have it down to $50, guys. And if you're watching this, I'm going to throw in the torso sloper free. And that is the lowest price I'm going, guys. But if you don't have it, you must get it. Okay, everybody wants to have knit tops or knit dresses. That's the most popular thing right now instead of the wovens, right? It's a little bit easier to wear and to make patterns. And it's a little tricky to do that. You can drape it on the dress form. And as my Patreons, I would normally say that, but I want to use the torso sloper that is made for dresses, tops, jackets, and suits. And I'm going to convert that into a block design top by shrinking it in and giving you the nuances that you need in order to make this design. We're going to check it on the dress form, and then we're going to then you'll be able to see it cut out of fabric. All right, let's do that next. The first step is to map out your design on the dress form itself. So I took the architectural tape that I talked about many times. This is a 1/4 of an inch wide. You can get them an 1/8 of an inch, a 1/16 of an inch, and they're adhesive, so it sticks to the dress form. And I just mapped out a simple design. It has a little cutout here in the center front. I have the neckline, and the armhole is a little bit further in, more halter-ish, but not quite. And I'm going to use the actual length of my sloper for the length of this top or block bodice top. Because that can also be converted into a dress very easily if you decide you like this design and just continue it on. All right, so after doing that, let's get on the flat and let me show you what to do next. This is the supplies you're going to need for this project. You're going to need your torso sloper, guys. If you haven't done it, you can purchase it, like I said, and you can make your designs, or you can follow the video that shows you how to make this from the 5-piece sloper set to convert to make the sloper. You're going to need pattern making paper, whether it's dotted or just white paper. I'm using pens to show you, but you can use pencils. An owl, A-W-L, I'll have this information in the description box. French curve, 2-inch by 18-inch ruler, hip curve, paper scissors, fabric scissors, of course the adhesive design tape to map out your design, pins, professional weights, or weights that you can get in your fabric store. Okay, let's get started. Okay, first I want to say that this is, I have a piece of paper cut here that is 24 inches in width and about 30 inches or so in length. That's all you're going to need. But before I get started, I want to show you the sloper here. This is the basic bodice, back and front, and it has darts. We've got the shoulder dart, we've got the 2 darts here for fitting at the waistline. The same way with the front, but we have the side dart here and the 2 darts here for fit. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put this now on the straight edge of the actual paper itself and weigh it down like this with the weights. I'm going to use those weights as well as these weights. I'm going to do the same thing over here, make it mesh up against the paper itself. and I'm going to weigh it down, make sure I have that there, and put some other weights here as well. The first thing you're going to do is trace around the entire part of the sloper. Just trace around the entire sloper, go inside of all the darts and nuances like this. All right. You're going to take your owl and you're going to make a puncture mark at the tip of each dart or dart point on the shoulder, as well as each part of that dart. Not only the end of the darts, but the width of the darts, just like this, so we know where those darts are, right? Those are the tip width of the darts as well as the length, the end of the darts there. I'm going to do it here as well. Take the front and the back off like that, and we're going to go ahead and cut around both of these so that we can manipulate these two pieces, both the back and the front, and I'll be right back. Now that you have all those puncture markings, you're going to fill in the dots by putting your darts in. Here's the side bodice dart for the front, putting those dart legs in. And here is the top of the dart here. There's two fitting darts here at the waist for the bodice, front bodice as well as the back bodice. I'm just connecting the end of the dart just like that so you can see those darts in. I'm going to do that on all of them like this. That's the front. Let's go ahead and do the same thing in the back. There's the shoulder dart here. Fill in those dots to the end of that dart. Fitted back darts. Connect all of those together. Okay, the pen is not working very well. And now those are in. Okay. Now that we have all the darts in, I have another piece of paper, again 24 inches wide by about 30 inches in length. And this is the center back. I put center back so you could see that. This is the center front, this is the front torso, and this is the back torso sloper. What you want to do with knitwear is try to eliminate as many darts as you can. This method, by the way, is only good if you are not extremely busted or have an extreme bust to waist measurement, if that makes sense. If your bust measurement is more than 10 inches difference from your waist measurement, this method may not work for you. But if you're going to be using this sloper and doing a basic size 8 slope torso sloper, converts it to about a 4 or small in top, then this will work for you. So what we're going to try to do is first put this one here with the mesh edges again, is take out the front dart. And I'm going to actually part of the dart like this, because you want to fold that upwards towards the top like that. And I'm just going to go ahead and put a pin to close that dart, just like that, okay? It's going to become 3D. That's okay, that's normal. Leave that alone. And then what we're going to do, because this design is kind of further over here, and I'm not going to have to worry about this dart because it's going to kind of move away from that dart with my design line. But we need this free here to do the design here in the center front. Now we're going to actually want to get rid of one of these darts and keep one of them for fit or relax for the knit. So we're going to be closing one of these darts first. And I'm going to close the one that's actually closest to the side seam. And I'm just going to pinch the dart like that. Pinch the dart like that. And put a pin through both sides. Like that. I'm going to do the same thing to the back. I'm going to take this dart here on the back the dart that is, the fitting dart that is closest to the side seam. And I'm going to go ahead and just pinch that and then put a pin to secure it just like that there. All right, now I'm going to put it or mesh up against the straight edge of that paper and mesh up against this straight edge here as well. I'm going to start with the front. This is the front one, and I'm going to put a cut here at the bust like this. Just going to cut all the way through here, and I'm going to release it. I'm going to cut from the puncture point here to the armhole notch, and then I'm also going to cut in several directions like that and like that. That way we can relax the bust area as much as we can and let it engulf. After I do that, see, I've cut it and now they're sort of overlapping here at the bust point. That's okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this mesh up against the straight edge of the paper itself like this. And I'm going to try to keep this as straight as possible up here as well. Hopefully you can see all of that. It's not going to want to overlap all the way, but just enough that we can play with this, okay? And then here, I'm just going to go ahead and push pin this. I have a cork board underneath here. If you don't, you can just pin it together or weigh it down. Whatever works for you. Pull it as much as I can. Okay, it's very awkward. It's very weird, but it's okay. What I'm trying to do is just let it overlap itself. What they're going to show you in books is they're going to open this up here and release the dart out here, but we're trying to eliminate it altogether. So that's the hard and tricky part of this whole thing. But you let it just kind of go onto itself. Whatever I'm missing here, I'm going to add here. So it will work out, guys. It will work out. So I'm going to go ahead and just fold this down, just push it down as much as I can. I'm going to put like little push pins, or you can pin it like, you know, onto itself if you don't have a cork board underneath. It's not necessary to have a cork board, but I'm just going to kind of pin it all the way around, down. Okay? And once I get it best I can, I'm going to now trace around this one more time. I'm just going to trace around this, and you're going to want to manipulate it. It's, you know, it's as squished as possible. We've taken this one out, so we've released that, and you just want to trace around the pattern or the sloper right now to make our design block. If you have to do a little pinching here, that's fine, just as long as it's not too much. I'm going to do here first, where the actual edge is, and then we'll do the compensation later. And here I am going around the armhole, just like that. I don't have to mark this in because we're just releasing that dart as ease that is needed for the design, if that makes sense. All right, so I'm going to take these push pins out like this. I'm going to move over so you can see the back, what I'm doing to the back, the straight edge of that paper. And I'm going to just go ahead and pin it down either this way or, like I said, that way onto itself. Push this down. I'm just going to move this like this and go ahead and actually push this down too. You let this dart do whatever it wants to do there, because we're going to add, like I said, my version of the flat pattern or drafting method with a little bit of draping feel of it as well. So now that I have this done that way, I'm going to actually trace around the back sloper or torso sloper as well right now. I'm leaving this here, this dart, it's okay, it's not going to bother me right now, and just trace around that sloper right now. We're not doing anything with this dart, we're just releasing it because we need that release dart for ease for this actual design, okay? And I'm tracing all the way along the bottom, taking those out like that. Here I am, and this is overlapping. I've already traced it out here and traced it out here. This in the front is overlapping. It looks like about 1 inch if you see how much I'm actually folded over. I have to add that to the width here and give it a bust, right? So that it can compensate for what I lost here. So I'm going to take that off, and I'm going to give it actually not quite 1 inch out. Just to show you again, there's an overlap of about 1 inch here. I have to compensate for that here to give it the bust. I'm going to do a curve here. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to go ahead and add anywhere from 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch here on the side. And then I'm going to curve it out, believe it or not. I'm going to take my French curve like this and do a curve like that to compensate for what I lost here on the bust with that whole folding in, if that makes sense. Okay, so that's the trick. And then I'm going to go back inward again like this and continue it onto the waistline because I want it to be as tight as I can here at the waistline. On the back, you can do that as well a little bit if you feel like you're broader here. I'm not going to do too much. I'm just probably going to take my hip curve and just go out just slightly, maybe like this much. Like of 1/8 inch or so, just to give it more of a curve there for the back as well. And I'm going to make it go to nothing like that. And the dart here on the back real quick, just so you see that where that dart is, so you know that it exists. And that's right there. Now what I'm going to do is, we see here with the bust point, all that folding in, we took it out and gave the curve here on the outside. I'm going to cut along this line I have here, and we're going to actually put it on the dress form and get the design there. Okay, that's what's next. So I have it on the dress form, as you can see it here, and I have it pinned, meshed up against the actual seam lines because there's no seam allowance, guys, so it's just seam to seam. And I have it pinned up here on the shoulder as well, and it is doing really well over here. You can see it's pretty much kissing that side seam. If I manipulate it like if it was going to be sewn in, it is pretty much fitting there nicely. Paper's not going to cooperate completely with you, but that's okay. So now that I have it kind of pinned on the dress form like that, even though that is, you know, sticking out right now, that's fine. Then I'm going to take my pen and I'm going to actually draw out the design that we have here that you can see right through the paper. That I drew out. So I'm going to just draw out that design like that. That is going to be the cutout in the center front that I'm going to be doing like that. And when you have a design like that in the center front, the bust is going to create space. I might just put another little piece here, like a little dart here or a little pinch. That's fine. You can do that like that. And then here on the side, I'm going to go ahead and from the top, I'm going to put that design line where the armhole is going to be. Little dart here as well. I'm going to push out some more of that fabric because I want it to be snugger than, you know, some of these other tops that you buy in the store. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and put that design line like that and draw it out all the way here and pin that. So let's put the back on. Put here mesh up against the center back, like that. Like I said, it's got a seam to seam. There's no seam allowance. Like that. And then I'm going to push this over here as well to see how I'm doing. This is a little bit fuller on the hip. I did it on purpose with the sloper so that there's ease so you can make dresses and whatever. And then this is going to go here as well. This is where it would normally be. It would normally be up here because you want the original slopers to match so that you know where you're going to be lowering it to. This dart would be normally here. And like that. And like that. I just want these side seams to be meshed as well. So so that they match. So you can see the side seams matching. And once you have it manipulated to the best, of your ability, because obviously it's paper, right, guys? Then you can go ahead and put the design line as well on the back, so we can draw it out later. And like I said, the dart is over to the excess of the design line, but I'm just going to go ahead and put those markings in as best I can. I can see that here as well. And you want it to, to hit the same mark as the front. Make sure that my shoulders are hitting the same. Okay, and there's a design line here at the neckline. It's dropped, so I'm going to go ahead and put that drop mark all the way around. I can see the tape through the paper, so make sure it's white paper and black tape or something dark. And then I'm doing the same thing to the back as well, so that I can match the shoulder seams as well as here. Okay, like that, and match these shoulder seams as well. Okay, now that I have that to the best of my ability, let's finish it off on the flat. Now I have it here on the flat. Let's correct some of these lines. And if you need to use your French curve or your hip curve, just correct the lines and curves as much as you can with your ruler. With the rulers, either the straight edge or the hip curve or the French curve, and so that we can have a nice cutting line. Too loose here, so I'm going to go ahead and make that line. That style line, so use any ruler that fits the style line. And you can always just make some adjustments as well. So like that. Neckline. And then once you've corrected those, cut along the design line that you just created. And there we go, cutting along the design line there, as well as the front. Here. Okay guys, you're going to want to tweak it and tweak it and tweak it. Some of these patterns, especially if you're going to be making a block for a t-shirt or for a knit design, you're going to have to tweak it and tweak it and tweak it and keep going. But once you get to the point where you like what you have, make sure you true it. Truing is making sure that it actually all fits. So this side seam is you walk the pattern like this to make sure it's going to be exactly like it's supposed to be in length and width. Make sure that the shoulders are the same. If they're not, adjust it. And then all you're going to really have to do, this is going to be a block then. Block, pattern block, can have seam allowance or not seam allowance. So you have that as your block right now. You're going to put your grain line is parallel to the center front and the center back always. So this is how you're going to cut out your garment. Like that. And what you're going to do is just, if you want to make this a pattern, you squish that out again and just keep adding. All you're going to need to do at this point is just add seam allowance around this block, and you can actually make it a pattern. All right, so this is pinned on here right now, and it's ready to actually add seam allowance. It is meshed nicely here. This gap is because it's, it's going to have to squish in there, which is going to be great. The armhole looks good. The neckline that I have here design-wise I like, and it's matching everything really well. So all you have to do to this now is keep tweaking it, and then to this paper pattern add your seam allowance, and you can cut it out and make an actual garment, or you can keep it like this and make other designs. Or if you don't want, if you just want that basic bodice that is more for knitwear design, you can keep it with the shoulder kept on, and that's another thing you could have done as well. So yes, so you have to test it out in your design, but we did it. So there it is. That's how you make a block design knitwear from your basic torso sloper that we developed earlier. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Give me comments whether you were able to do this or not, and if this worked out for you or this is a good lesson for you. And keep watching, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye. I'm cutting it out of fabric without seam allowance, just to see it mesh up against the dress form. And we're going to put it on the dress form in just a minute.